And a very, very warm welcome to you. It's a new All Out West show this week, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you. My name is Tonci Prusac, and I'm here week in, week out. And with me tonight is a fresh new face with Craig Feiler, curtain at the moment on the Queen's birthday long. Very warm welcome, co-host from the Oz Cro Soccer Show, and now he's my co-host tonight on the Football Out West show.
Thank you, Tonci, and thank you to our viewers for tuning in. And hello, can you hear me? You kind of dropped out a bit there, mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no,
thanks for the introduction, mate. It's nice to be with you all.
It is. It's going to be a huge show. It's 90 to edge our way to that milestone one figure. And tonight, it's all about the Caroline Springs 75th year this, and it's going to be a huge show tonight. A lot happened at City Vista Reserve, and we've got some fantastic guests. JOSIP, very, very shortly we'll be catching up with ERIC VASSILIADIS, the senior men's coach. A result on Friday, not what the club wanted, not what the club's supporters were hoping for against Essendon Royals, the big derby clash. Nonetheless, bright side of the coin there is that George Cross still are on top of the State League Men's 1 competition. But we'll be catching up with Eric a little bit later on.
Yeah, look, it is a tough competition, that group. And, Essendon Royals, Banyule, Georgies, they've all thrown their hat in the ring to try and get promoted from there into the NPL system. But, look, it's going to be an interesting second stanza of the year.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's just the halfway mark has just finished last week, thereabouts. So we're into the second half. It is going to be very, very exciting. We're also going to be joined by the Senior Women's State League 3 coach, and that is DYLAN Bustos. He'll be joining us immediately after Eric. And then in the second part of the show, the press box segment, we'll be joined by the general manager of Caroline Springs, George Cross, the ever working, ever reliable, ever efficient LIZA DJURIC. She'll be joining us a little bit later on tonight to talk about all the things that are happening off the field. So, and there is a lot happening there, as we said, at City Vista. Now, JOSIP, as we know, these days you're based up at the Gold Coast these days, and we've got someone else who's up there in your neck of the woods. Who could it be?
Look, it's none other than your regular co-host, young Craig Feiler, who's been gallivanting around the streets of Surfers Paradise. So I hear today he was out jet skiing, and here he is catching up with Caroline Springs Georgies faithful and players, playing staff as well. So there's is that Paul Couchy and Morgan Feiler.
Peter Couchy there, Morgan Feiler, of course, his son up there, and
a couple of parents from Craig and Morgan from the reserve side as well.
Yeah, so of course, Craig can't get. He's up there for personal reasons. A big happy birthday to his wife Heidi. She deserves a sainthood, I think, for being able to put up with Craig. all these.
Oh, look,
I think that old Craig.
Well, All I'm happy to report, though, is they haven't made it on the front or the back page of the Gold Coast Bulletin, so let's keep it that way.
Yes. Let's keep it that way. If you do catch up with him, say hey, hi to Mr. Filer there himself. He's
Yeah, sure
enjoying a
thing.
well-deserved week off. We've got a huge show later tonight. We're going to get straight now. Our major season this year is Cross Football Club. Without whose support, we certainly probably would not have been able to have the Football Out West show this year. So a big shout out to everyone at Club and to indeed President Mark Sultana. And tonight, I think a lot of people are either a little bit happy or a bit sad. And Mark goes, he's been talking too much and everyone hears him. And maybe now for a change, we can hear someone else tonight or watch someone else tonight. But Mark's always welcome on, and we certainly look forward to it. Now, we have got a little bit of comments saying coming very patchy. So there is probably internet connection issues that we're hopefully we'll try to keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll be able to monitor that and make sure that the network improves as the night progresses. But here's a couple of words from our major sponsor. Go away, folks. We've got the news desk straight after this.
You find authentic Maltese cuisine? At Georgies on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. We have a menu to suit everyone, which includes kids and seniors meals, and a cocktail list that will need you to come back several times to get through. Our specialty nights are a big hit. Tuesday is $20 Palmer night with a selection of Palmers to choose from. Kids eat free Wednesday night. With every paid adult meal, you get one free kids meal. Thursday is Maltese night. Check out the Maltese specials on our specials board. And Friday night, we have happy hour between 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Be sure to book your table to avoid disappointment. Bookings can be made via our website, georgiesonvista.com.au. See you at Georgies on Vista. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 92, and I thought we lost Josip there for a second. Josip's back now. Josip, what's happening in the world of football? There's a lot going on, so where do we start?
Look, I think probably some of the key bits of information that are being leaking out into the world of football. We'll start with the big end of town. Harry Kewell's joining Ange Postecoglou at Celtic. News in the last couple of days that the former Liverpool, Leeds, and Socceroos star has joined Ange at Celtic as a first team coach. Look, he'll be there as part of a team with Gavin Strachan, Steve McManus, Stevie Woods, and John Kennedy for the next season. So, look, we wish Harry all the best, and it's great to see a couple of former Socceroos getting together for their cause. So, look, onwards and upwards for Celtic. That a great year, and Andrew's looking to no doubt cement some Champions League experience in the mind of a Champions League winner.
Brilliant. That's great news. And yeah. Look, they are not the only Aussies doing it well in the from a female perspective. Sam Kerr, all sorts of awards.
Yeah, look, not only did she get the FA Player of the Year for the WSL in England, however, she's also been voted the PFA Players Player too, just a couple of days ago. And look, she's just really drawn all the right attention for the right reason. And she's been a fantastic ambassador for her club and for the Matildas over the last few years, but particularly this year, she's stood up strong, and she's got the right plaudits for her efforts. Well done to Sam. And it's quite significant that we mentioned Sam, being that this is the Football Out West show. She is from way out west in Western Australia, but also from one of the clubs that we've been covering off in the Oz Cro show, Tonci Western Knights, were in her junior days.
Western Knights, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see. One thing that I've noticed yourself with Football Australia, they always come criticism, as does Football Victoria. But one of the things that Football Australia has been doing, I suppose, in recent times, is when they select the team or select the teams and they release the press release and whatnot, they actually make mention of the players' junior club as well. So wherever they first started out their football. And it is really good. You hear and read of some very obscure junior clubs and what you're not. But it's great that those clubs are getting some, I mean, it'd be great if they got some sort of financial rewards. Wouldn't that be fantastic for the grassroots clubs? But at least it's some form of, exactly. But it is some form of recognition and for doing that. But Sam Kerr, she's a real positive, not just here in Australia, but globally.
Yeah, she's a fantastic ambassador for the sport. So just continue to wish her all the best. And look, she was recently in the news for arriving back on Aussie soil to come visit her family. So enjoying all the fruits of her labour at the moment, and with a bit of relaxation in WA.
Yeah, moving along now to the young Socceroos. They're also achieving quite some good things.
This is really exciting for any young player who's trying to work their way up and through the system to try and find their pathway into a national representation. I know you and I have had chats about some of the deficiencies in regards to talent identification, but that's a different discussion altogether. We need to focus in on the good work that's being done here by Trevor Morgan and the team. The under 23s have advanced through as on top of their group with 7 points with 2 wins and a draw. That draw came against Iraq, which has always been a formidable opponent for any team within the Asian Confederation. And they go on to a semi now, the Olyroos, against either Saudi Arabia or Vietnam. And they play tonight.
Oh, that should be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah. Moving along front, what's been happening with news players departing? Not stuff about players arriving. We have got like news about players running.
Yeah, look. There are 3 players that are on their way out at Western United: Rene Kruhen, Jerry Skadaris, and Ivan Vujica. But there's also a news of a re-signing of the veteran Topol Stanley, which is look, to me, a little bit surprising. I would have thought maybe take the opportunity to bolster with some players. Probably got a mid-range of experience to bring into the side, but it looks like JO has different ideas, and Nikolai Topol-Stanley gets another crack at it at the top level in Australia.
We get reports that things are delayed, getting really slow. Looks like we've got the Craig Filer problem of really bad internet. But it's not Point Cook we're talking about. We're talking in Lara. We're going to try and hammer on. Hopefully, before too long, something kicks in and the internet's back on deck. But there's more stuff happening at Western United.
Yeah. Well, look, Western United women's team is forming up, and they're going to be kicking off in season 22-23. So that's exciting for developing and prospective young female talent looking for another avenue to seek their pathway into the professional leagues. And on top of that, the construction has begun over at Truganina. So, look, everything's in the world of Western United is coming up roses at the moment.
Yeah. And so, got on a personal note, one of the Western United players last night had a rather big milestone to cap off a rather big achievement to cap off a rather big year.
Yeah, a lot of intertwining going on here between the Oz Cro Show and football out west, mate. So it's good to see the episode tonight just delivering the goods. Stephen Lustica has tied the knot with his love, Marina Nay Lončarić, now Lustica herself. But Marina is the younger sister of Josip Lončarić, who we have a lot of credible, valued discussions with over the journey, and we share some news with him in the Oz Cro Soccer Show. But all the best to the young newlyweds, and we wish them a life of wedded bliss and many years to come.
Congratulations, Lustitzers. Stephen Lustitzer marrying into a very, very famous footballing family. The Lonchadiches are first cousins to the V-Bomber, the Mark Viduka.
Yeah.
And on the final note, a very sad occasion, I guess, will happen on Tuesday, and then there'll be when one of our most loyal, one of our most passionate supporters will be laid to rest. Maxi Santich, for those that aren't aware, passed away suddenly at the age of 56, very, very recently. Only, 2 weeks ago, thereabouts, whatever. Yeah. He will be farewelled in a service at the St. Leopold Munditch Catholic Church in Sunshine West. They're in 22 Fitzgerald Road. This Tuesday at 12 p.m. At the conclusion of the Mass, the funeral will proceed to Keilor Cemetery for burial. That will take place in the news section, so that's left on Ally Court. And there also is going to be a live stream for those unable to attend. A lot of people have been asking us over the 3 podcasts who either knew of Maxi or used to interact a bit on our chats throughout the whole the last few days, jumping on and watching the show. And Wood's refreshments will follow the burial at the St. Albans Saints Soccer Club, Fox Street, St. Albans. So this Tuesday is going to be a rather solemn kind of a day, right? A rather solemn affair. And you tune into the Oz Cro Soccer Show podcast this week. As a result of that, there will be no show this week. There will be the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Steve Curtin will be back for that tomorrow, folks. But in the meantime, there will be no Oz Cro Soccer Show this week. But Josip, we're going to take a break now. It's all about George Cross Football Club. We're going to be talking with the senior men's coach, ERIC Vassilidis. Folks, don't go away. Before when we come back, we'll be talking senior men's football with the coach, ERIC Vassilidis.
Looking for a space for your next function? At Georgies on Vista, our function room caters for all types of functions. Milestone birthdays, special religious occasions, work functions, hens or bachelor nights, baby showers, or whatever reason you decide is a good idea to get together with family and friends. Contact our friendly staff who will help you put together a menu that will suit your special occasion. Inquiries can be made via our website, georgiesonvista.com.au. Georgies on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.
Welcome back to the Football Out West Show, episode 92. Season strong, and we've had some great guests over the years, and we've had some great stories over the years. And this gentleman, this next guest, we love having on a regular basis. He's the head coach of the senior team at Caroline Springs, George Cross, ERIC Vassilidis. ERIC, and welcome once again to the Football Out West Show. How are
you? Good, gentlemen. Good evening. Hope all is well. Looking forward to another good show.
Now I'm getting a little bit of bad audio feedback. Josip, can you hear everything?
It is quite low. Sorry, Eric.
Hey, boys, can you hear me now? Is that a bit better?
Spot on.
Oh,
buddy.
That's much better. Yeah. That's much better. ERIC, first up, commiserations about Friday night. We had you right. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
he's moving good, around mate. Now.
Just showing us his curtains that
ERIC,
Stan has been looking after.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Don't do a while and do what Craig did when he was living in Point Cook. The coverage was so bad, he ended up walking around the house and ended up in his garage. That happened to be the best coverage, and we were looking at this garage roller door, and it said, "Don't move. Whatever you do, don't move." But okay, let's talk about serious things. Friday night, ERIC, not the result you wanted against the team that you love to win. It's the derby, the big direct contender for the title. The good news is you guys are still on top, so George Cross is still on top. But, tell us a little bit about the game. What happened?
Yeah, sorry guys, a little bit difficult. There's a bit of a concrete jungle here, so if you can't hear the audio, please let me know. Look, I think it's a game that's synonymous with State One football. Yep. I think for a club of our stature, we've got to accept and take on board the fact that every single game we play is a huge game, and this one away to a very passionate and fired up sort of Essendon Royals was no different. You've got to get the sort of the strategy right. You've got to get the personnel right. But most importantly, I think on days like this, you've got to play the conditions, There's no criticising the conditions. They are what they are. But in the end, I felt we just couldn't find the football solutions. And from a practical perspective, we didn't quite match the fight and things didn't go our way. But it's, I try not to over-exaggerate the losses and over-celebrate the wins. It's about, being at the top and where we need to be after 22 games. So that's still our priority.
Yeah, look, with the kind of season you're having, sitting on top of the ladder, I guess a lot of clubs underneath you, with the likes of Essendon, Banyule, Brimbank, they'll be coming at you hard and fast in their next opportunities to face up against you. Does the opportunity for you to have a look at your personnel in terms of the depth, is that something that the club is asking you to do, or is that something that has been on the table that you wanted to go pursue?
Oh, look, it's a good question. From my perspective, I try and use my experience with the league. As you know, we're not subject to roster quotas or points or anything of that nature. We try and build a steady team that's got some depth and some quality and some balance. But like most clubs this year, we've had to counter virus, but more so for us, 3 or 4 very, very established and key parts of the group have missed 10, 12, 13 weeks of football already, including the pre-season. So we've almost had to build 2 or 3 squads. So we're quite lucky that we're in State League and we've got the capacity to do that. And the club has been hugely supportive of kind of what I'm trying to do and build that depth and quality. We're always looking to improve, but I'm confident with the boys that we've got, and now that we've got that continuity and understanding of how we want to play, that we're well positioned for the next 9 games to get it done.
Yeah, with that
let's go
of squad, quite important. I mean, I'm not sure how the reserves situation is with regards to where they're on the ladder. Admittedly, I don't have my feelers across that, but do you tap into those resources as well with the reserve squad?
Yeah, look, great question. Obviously, we've got Craig Filer there and Dean Stafras, who manages our 20s community. For me, one of the key things we've done over the last 5 or 6 weeks is embed more closely John Floros, our full-time technical director, into the reserve setup. So he's kind of got a closer understanding and bridge between the junior pathway and the senior pathway. We've already got examples of that this week, but that's this year where that's paid off. Young Jack Wardle went straight from the 18s community last year straight into the senior squad, and I think he's been involved in almost every game this year. And we've only, through Craig and John's guidance in the last couple of weeks, we've pushed up young Kor Deng from our reserves into the senior sort of squad as well. So we're, as much as possible, we're trying to find that little gem, because we know it's difficult to have the impetus to secure really good young talent in State One. They're normally it's a pyramid, right? So the A-League clubs have got they've cornered that market, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't do our job. So we're very, very happy with the work that John, Craig, and Dean are doing to make sure that our young boys have got the opportunity to be part of the pathway. And that all leads to us getting promoted, because that's the epitome, right? That's all pointing to that.
That's right. If you end up doing that, you're going to be relying on that resource as well, because if you go in NPL, you're going to be restricted with a lot of your dates and recruiting and things like that as well.
You're going to have to repeat that question. I didn't hear any of it. So really
no,
sorry.
It wasn't a question. I'm just saying, if you do get promoted at season's end, you didn't have to be cognizant of the fact that you've got number quotas plus dates are different for recruitment periods as well.
Transfer deadlines and things like that. Yeah. Let's go through the results very quickly. Essendon Royals, so obviously, as we said, they defeated Caroline Springs 2-0 on Friday night in the opening game of the round 13 match. Corio, 3-0 winners over Yarraville. So that win has lifted Corio off the bottom of the ladder and they're currently in third last position. Clifton Hill lost to Brimbank Stallions, but very narrowly. And it's interesting, all the three teams, the three bottom teams, did very, very well against higher opposition. So we had, I think Eric's just left us. Yeah, Eric's back now. So we had Clifton Hill just narrowly go down to Brimbank Stallions 1-2. Strathmore, which is your opponent next week, narrowly losing to Banyule City 2-3. So look, those three teams that are on the bottom, so Corio on the bottom, Strathmore second last, and Clifton Hill third last, they've really, really challenged teams above themselves on the ladder. So I guess that goes to show that State 1 is a lot harder than what some people may think. It's not just the top 3, top 4 teams battling it out for promotion, but those teams down the bottom, they're at the moment fighting for survival and giving some of those teams above it a real tough time, aren't they, Eric? So it's a real tough league, whichever way you look at it.
I don't know if you can still hear me. I sort of caught every second or third word. So if you can't hear me, I'll keep talking. I think the gist of what you are saying is that the teams towards the bottom half of the table have to pick up points from everybody. That is further accentuated for us because, you know, we have found that every single team, whether we're home or away, has lifted. We definitely don't underestimate any of those teams. They've shown that even if you think about Whittlesea today losing to Sydenham 1-0, I think you'll find Sydenham's been the form team over the last 7-8 weeks, and Whittlesea had 3 first-team players not playing today through their unsuccessful cup game during the week, and yet still put a respectable performance out there. The reality is, though, Tonci, any of the 2 clubs that get promoted this year would have deserved it. And no one's underestimating anybody, but we've just got to find the solutions, the ideas, and the quality to just get it done.
Yep. Very good. So with Strathmore coming up on the weekend and looking at the way they've been going about business, if I remember correctly, the first time around, a bit of a scare. They were leading at one point, and then late on, you applied a lot of pressure and got the result. And that was at home. I think this week you're at Strathnaver, which is always a challenging environment. What are you expecting?
I'm going to try again and piece that together. I think you're just talking about Strathmore again. Again, I've never played away Strathmore. I know Mickey C very, very well. We've had a couple of good conversations in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I know what he brings, and he's already made a significant difference to their mentality, their approach. I know they've signed some players. They've only just narrowly lost to Banyule, so we had a good look at Strathmore. So we know what they're about, and like most teams, though, we've got to worry about them, but they've also got to worry about us. We make sure that we focus on us. We make sure that we accept that we are a big club. We accept that teams are going to want to come out and beat us. So we've just got to be bigger, stronger, and more prepared to go the distance and stick to our motto of having the personality of being the strongest working and the hardest working team in the league. So we're looking forward to Strathmore. It'd be good to catch up with them again. But, for us, nothing short of a win's going to be good enough. But I'm sure that's what they're thinking as well.
Okay, looking at some of the games next week. So Friday night, Strathmore hosting Caroline Springs George Cross. That's at Strathnaver Reserve, 8:30 p.m. kickoff there. Then on Saturday, Sydenham Park hosting Banyule City. Keilor Park at home to Brimbank Stallions. Yarraville Glory wounded after the loss to Corio. They'll be hosting Essendon Royals. Clifton Hill taking on Corio at Quarry's Park. That's a real 6-pointer for both those 2 teams. And then finally, we've got Whittlesea United at home to Altona City. So a very, very mouth-watering round 14 in the Men's State League 1 coming up this weekend. Eric, we wish you all the best. I'm sure we'll catch up with you before the end of the season. Hopefully the internet connection's a little bit better then than it is tonight. So we do apologise to viewers, but I think we did get the general gist of what you were trying to say. And we thank you for coming on the show, and all the best for the remaining, 8 games of the season or thereabouts, whatever. It's not long to go.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Have a good night. Bye.
All the best, mate.
Good on you, ERIC VASSILIADIS. the senior men's coach of the Caroline Springs George Cross men's team. I don't know if it was his internet or my internet. It seems to be a real
you've calmed down now. Your internet's not as patchy, but Eric's got worse as we went.
It was bad, was it? He did say he was in the midst of a concrete jungle.
Yeah.
Folks, we're going to take a very, 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 very quick break. When we do return, once again, we're going to be talking then with the senior women's coach of the Caroline Springs George Cross, DYLAN Bustos. And we still have to get through the NPL as well. So there's a lot to get through. Hang on to your horses, folks. We'll be back very, very quickly.
Looking for a space for your next function? At Georgies on Vista, our function room caters for all types of functions. Milestone birthdays, special religious occasions, work functions, hens or bachelor nights, baby showers, or whatever reason you decide is a good idea to get together with family and friends. Contact our friendly staff who will help you put together a menu that will suit your special occasion. Inquiries can be made via our website, georgiesonvista.com.au. Georgies on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs George Cross.
Welcome back to the Football Out West Show. It is episode 92, and a big, big shout out to our major sponsor for season 2022, Caroline Springs George Cross, home of the award-winning Georgies on Vista. We've just lost JOSIP ZILIC. It is a funny sort of a night tonight. The internet gremlins are really, really playing up, but we're going to push through, and we've got a really important guest on tonight. First time on the Football Out West Show. So it is an absolute pleasure to welcome the coach of the senior women's team, who are currently in State 3. And I say currently because at the moment sitting pretty on top of the ladder, and the way things are going, they'll be playing in State 2 next year. DYLAN Bustos. DYLAN, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, mate. Thank you very much for having me. It's almost not allowed just yet, but almost.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about, mate, tonight, or today, a huge win there. A great result in the end, a 9-1 win for George Cross. Tell us about the game today. Like, great win, great result.
Yeah, it was. It was a good result. The girls played excellent. We've finally starting to manage to get our systems under control and really put them on show, I guess, for whoever's watching. Obviously, we've got quite good attacking threats, so it's good to see them putting them in the back of the net. Definitely.
Yes, that was against North Melbourne Athletic earlier today. Very unusual opening kickoff time, 11 a.m. Did that sort of play havoc with the girls' sleeping patterns and what you're not a little bit early on a Sunday morning, or they had it all down pat?
It was a little bit. I'm always trying to push the girls to make sure they get a good night's rest, but I'm not sure how successful I am with that. But yeah, definitely today was a bit of an early one for them. But no, they managed to get the result, I guess. So that's all that matters. I can't question them too much.
I think we got JOSIP back on the line. JOSIP, you there?
Yeah, mate. I don't know what happened there. We all went into some black hole.
well, there you go. Yeah, we're just talking about the George Cross women's team. A good solid 9-1 win there. A hat-trick to Bianca Martina. And mind you, that was a first half hat-trick. Victoria Harboglu scored 2. Kirsten Chianta 1. Caitlin Latoila, did I pronounce that correctly? Teresa Sokolay and Michelle Vidanoski, all with 1 goal. But yeah, it was a 4-1 lead at the break, and they came out. And look, as a coach, you must be pretty happy with that scoreline. 4-1 at the break, and they went on to win 9-1. Sometimes when a team's doing so well and really, convincingly in front at the break, they tend to sometimes just rest on their laurels and take a little bit of a back step and take it easy. It doesn't look like your girls did that today. You must have been very proud of the fact that their second half was just as good, in fact, better than their first half.
Yeah, look, I think there was a few things that we wanted to fix up between my assistant and I, Rennie, that we wanted to fix up to the second half. I think there was obviously a bit more football that we wanted to play, that we wanted to demonstrate. And obviously it showed in the second half, definitely. They come out second half with a far better performance. Obviously with the attacking threats, like I'm saying, we had probably 4 or 5 different goal scorers there. So it's good that they all get an opportunity and they can all show what they're made of, definitely.
Terrific, Dylan. With regards to your women's program, though, it's visibly been growing over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. Is there anything that you've attributed that to, particularly?
Not so much. So I was always a big. This is my first year with this playing group, so I was always confident with the players that I saw from last year. I think I've just managed to come in and change a few systems, change the dynamics, maybe some new ideas. And so far, the girls have really bought into that. So, I think full credit goes to the girls. It's never easy changing coaches. They put a lot of trust in me, a lot of trust in Rennie. I have to thank them for that, definitely. So, look, it's going well so far. The girls are coming along really well. The team morale is really high. We're getting some good results, playing against some tough teams. Look, hopefully we can come up with the title at the end of the year. Definitely, that's the goal.
Terrific. And do you find
Let's
that?
talk about some of those tough.
Go ahead, mate.
Sorry, I was just going to say, talking about those tough results. One of the or tough teams. One of the teams you played recently was South Melbourne, the MPLW team in the Nike FC Cup, and even though it was a big loss. Now we had who was on that? Who came on the show and said, Lockie Flanagan last week, who was on the Football Out West show as a co-host. He was actually impressed. He was the commentator on the night, and he said, "Look, I was actually impressed. You're talking about a team that's like 5 rungs below South Melbourne, but they did really well and they battled and they didn't stop. That must have been a great learning experience for the girls."
Yeah, look, I think that's really important, that you have to put that game into a perspective. There is 5 divisions of difference there between those two teams. So, look, I think it's unfortunate the result ended the way it did, because I don't think it really demonstrates the quality of players that we have, the quality of play that we can put on show. I think the occasion became a little bit overwhelming for most of us, myself as well. It was quite an intimidating night going out there to Lakeside. TVs, camera crews, and things like that. So it's always intimidating playing against a team like that. So it was definitely a great experience. Yeah, the girls tried their hardest, and that's all I asked of them, really. I wanted them to put their heart on the line, and they made us definitely proud, 100%.
With the course of the year now in that sort of halfway mark, are you expecting any changes to the way your personnel is looking, or you're happy with the way players are developing now?
No, I'm pretty confident with the playing group that we have. Yeah, I think they're quite a talented group. I think towards the second half of the season, what's going to be important is consistency. I think first half of the season we're still ironing out the teething issues that we want to sort out in our playing style. So I think coming towards the second half of the season, we'd like to stay really consistent with our good levels of football, exciting styles of football, really attacking. That's something that we've always wanted to bring in our football, really courageous, forward-thinking football. So as long as we can be consistent with the next second half of the season, I think hopefully we can get good results, definitely.
Now, we find a lot of clubs from time to time say, we've got a new women's section or women's sector of the club. And you find a lot of clubs that kind of pay a little bit of lip service, to support, to say we're supporting all facets of the club. In George Cross's support, one of the tangible shows of support that the club is really supporting every element of the club, and indeed the women's, was the amount of George Cross supporters at Lakeside Oval back at that Nike FC Cup. Now, we know South Melbourne are one of the best supported, if not the best supported club in the state. But as Lockie Flanagan last week said, he goes, there was that many George Cross supporters compared to the local South Melbourne supporters. That must really, as the coach of the senior women's team, that must really give you so much joy, so much satisfaction. But it must also give the girls such a tonic to perform week in, week out, knowing they've got the full backing of not just the club's administrators, but the club's supporters.
Absolutely. I think that night was an incredible experience, like you're saying. The support group there, I didn't expect so many. It was a freezing cold night, a weeknight as well. And even the preparation for that week, there was I was getting phone calls and messages and from people that I haven't even spoken to at the club, but they were fully supportive of the girls. There was messages going to the girls. That's something that George Cross is really pushing. The culture at the club's amazing. So definitely the girls are really responding to that, and they're really making the club really proud. As well as the junior girls coming up as well. They come to pretty much all the senior women's games, from the under 18s girls to under 16s girls have been coming. Coaching staff from other teams have been coming, and from the men's side as well. The support's been amazing for the playing group. So they've really bounced off that 100%.
You've beaten me to the punch. I was going to just jump into that and dive into the junior structure linking in with the seniors, which I always find very interesting to see how clubs go about connecting the dots around the bigger picture of their club. But you've summated that perfectly there, Dylan. I agree, mate. If you can get that in place and the kids can see what they're striving for, and it gives them the picture in there each time they come, they get excited about the prospect of just being there, let alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it also helps too that many of our girls in the senior women's are coaches at the club for the junior girls.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
That really bridges the gap there for the young girls. You know, when you get a senior player that representing your club to come and coach you, teaching you skills, teaching you things that they learn. I think that really demonstrates and represents what the club's about. I guess definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done. Well, mate, like I said, absolute. It's brilliant to see. We'll take a look at that ladder again. Now, this doesn't take into account any of the games today. So Geelong Rangers, their game was postponed. I think they were playing Altona East. So that game has been postponed to a later date. But courtesy of your high victory, your big victory over North Melbourne Athletic, you jump into outright top spot, albeit with a game extra. But that's looking good. Augurs really well for next season if it stays the way things are. But talking about next season, once the halfway mark of the season passes, you get a lot of coaches already start planning for next year and starting to bring in new players and this. Have you had a look at any of the games, say in State 2, just to see the level of the standard of football there? And is it comparable to State 3? Could George Cross, even in its current sort of situation, in its current format, would it be a competitive team in State League 2?
I'm fully aware of the standard of State 2 and states even higher, State 1. I think our girls can definitely put up good challenges to most of those teams. I think a lot of that was represented early stages of our Night Cup run. We started off with Greenvale being the toughest, one of a very tough team that we played physically, beat them away, and then we started pressing on to State 2 teams straight off the bat with Lara, who are top of their table at the moment. I think we managed to get away with 3-0 win over there, if I can remember correctly. And they were a State 2 team straight off the bat. So that was a tough competition. And I think that game was a real turning point for our girls. I think they really started to believe and have a lot of faith in the playing group that they could really, put up a good challenge to any team that they come across, And then following that game was Monash, who were another division higher again, State 1, from the other side of the city, I think the southeast, I think. So we also managed to get away with a 3-1 win, I think, there as well at home, to progress us to the quarterfinals. So it was, I think with the playing group and the systems that we've put in place, I really think that we can be a threat to a lot of teams. Definitely State 2 and State 1, definitely. But I think first and foremost, it's week in, week out for now.
Obviously,
and we'll go from there.
You try not to look too hard ahead. Coaches are renowned for going week to week, keeping things, nice and grounded. But, us media folks, Josip, we always start to look for the story in the whole thing. So but this would make a fantastic story, promotion to State 2 next year, when that's what we'd like to see. We'd love to see the senior men's promoted to NPL 3 next year, and the senior women's promoted to State 2 next year for sure. Dylan, thank you for joining us. We wish you all the very, very best for the run home. Well, actually, in a women's comp, you haven't even yet reached your halfway mark. That is next week. Is that right?
Correct. Next week we play Westgate, which will be the halfway mark. Yeah, and then we start our table again. So almost there. Yep.
Almost there. Mate, once again, thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. And I'm sure a lot of people, everyone at the club appreciates all the hard work that you are doing, and the ladies themselves as well, to be where they are, sitting pretty atop State 3.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
Good on you. It's good to see the George Cross men's on top, George Cross women's on top as well. So you can't be more happier than. And if you're a president like Mark Sultana, that tells you you'd be very, very happy. Mark is very, very involved with the
clearly a very happy president.
He's got a big smile on his face, and he says, it's a great comment. The growth of our women girls is so important to our wonderful club, and that is great to see. As we said, some clubs do pay lip service, but as you can definitely see, and it's not just the administrators, it's the fans, it's the supporters, and all you George Cross supporters that were out there on that cold midweek night at Lakeside Oval. Kudos to you, well done. And let's not support
another cold night coming up. Another cold night for them coming up at Strathneva. We know how the fog can set in around Merry Creek. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's quickly rush through the NPL competition at the moment. Lot of interesting games played this weekend. First of all, let's look at the NPL competition. Altona Magic, a great 2-1 win over Dandenong Thunder, and they're starting to sort of move into that mid-table position. A lot of the other western suburban teams, Josip, really struggled this week. Apart from Green Gully, actually. Green Gully did well.
Green Gully's probably the shining light in the west at the minute. That's for sure. And they had a convincing win over Dandenong City. It was a pretty solid performance by Dandy. And look, I know 4-1 doesn't look that great, but they were quite resolute for most of the game. They were trying to advance and get themselves on the score sheet too. So whenever you try and do that, you're going to open yourself up. And when you're having a run like that, sitting in the second last, things don't work the way they happen when you're sitting second. So the luck just runs differently. But look, I watched that game and I did feel for Dandy because I could see how hard they're working to try and shore things up. But look, they need to adventure forward as well. But looking beyond that, you got Avondale sitting in 5th and Altona Magic, like you said, is on the climb. Melbourne Knights were on the receiving end of the last-minute goal this time around, mate.
91st minute goal by Lamberdaridis for Bentley. And,
They led early. They led in the first minute. They were leading in the first minute, and that sort of managed to hang in there with the 1-1, and like you said, sank the hearts. And St Albans, look, they had a red card to Nikola Jurkovic, and plus a 3-0 loss. That's really starting to hurt them. The blessing for them is that they have a bit of a buffer between them and the last 3 positions, but you don't want to be relying on the buffer for too long because those teams will want to lift at some point as well.
That's right. Moving along to NPL 2, North Geelong Warriors on top of the competition standings. They came up against their old rivals, Brunswick Juventus, who are now known as Brunswick Juventus. It used to be known as the club formerly known as Moreland Zebras. So that happened midweek. There's obviously a story behind all that. We won't go too much into that, but Brunswick, they are now known as Brunswick Juventus. So Brunswick Juventus moving to 3rd spot. Moreland City had a good win also on the weekend. They've shaved that gap between themselves and North Geelong from 7 points to 4 points. But Bulleen Lions dropped points. Pascoe Vale lost as well. So it's an interesting rush for promotion there in the NPL 2 competition. But North Geelong Warriors, they are at home to Lane Warren next week. It is going to be a streamed game. And I can tell you now that myself will be joined by Steve Curtin and Craig Filer. So it'll be like the Football Out West Show reunion to commentate that game. Craig being available because I think, obviously, because Caroline Springs is playing on Friday night. So he'll be joining myself and Steve Curtin for that game. NPL 3.
I'll tell you, the game to watch next week will be Juve versus Bulleen. Once upon a time, used to be the one house.
Yeah.
After the NSL days when they went into Bulleen into Kings. So Hey, someone's there is going to be the biggest rooster in the hen house. So
yeah, it's a big Italian derby. Always a
Derby.
great spectacle. Always a great game. In NPL 3, we've got Melbourne City on top. They were defeated 2-0 by Melbourne Victory. So Melbourne Victory now closes the gap between themselves and Melbourne City. So that's becoming very, very interesting. Western United in third spot. And then Preston Lions with 25 points. They had a good win on the weekend as well. So a real good battle there for the top two positions that will automatically get them into NPL 2. And then teams 3 and teams 4 will move into a qualification phase, playoff phase. Geelong in 5th aren't totally out of the wood. Totally out of the picture. They had a good 3-1 win over North Sunshine Eagles.
Credit to Geelong. They've really lifted in their last 4 or 5
They
weeks.
Yeah. And Larissa Reserve, not an easy place for any team to come. But
I can tell you that for sure, mate. Even way back in the days when it's always a confronting situation. But you know what? It tests you, and then as a player, that's what you want. You want to be tested. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, last but not least, NPLW, the women's competition. Yes, it's good to see a Western Suburbs team on top. Calder United have jumped to top spot there. And they are 2 points clear of second place Heidelberg, who have been up the top most of the season, but Calder United have just been picking up points. And next year, as you mentioned, they will be fused into the Western United A-League women's team. And obviously, they will still have a presence in the NPLW competition. The expanded NPLW competition, there is talk that next year's NPLW competition will consist of 12 teams. So 4 teams from State League VPL or VPLW will be going up. And there's a quick snapshot of the ladder. This is prior to today's games. This hasn't been updated. Apart from Southern United did defeat Geelong Galaxy 3-1. So Southern United now moving to 19 points, and they're well clear of Melbourne United and Melbourne University and Geelong Galaxy for that battle for third spot. But yeah, the top 4 spots may get those teams promoted through to NPLW next year. So some interesting times ahead, that's for sure. Now, before we're about to finish up here, and we're going to go to the press box straight after this. Josip, we will be joined by the General Manager of Caroline Springs George Cross, LIZA DJURIC. LIZA's always got so much to tell us about what is happening at the club on the field and off the field, and I can't wait to talk to LIZA. We'll be chatting to her straight after this break. So don't go away, folks. Have a little bit of if you need to get up and get a drink or quickly go to the toilet, come back. You do not want to miss the second half of the show, the press box, here on the Football Out West Show.
You find authentic Maltese cuisine? At Georgie's on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. We have a menu to suit everyone, which includes kids and seniors meals, and a cocktail list that will need you to come back several times to get through. Our specialty nights are a big hit. Tuesday is $20 Palmer night with a selection of Palmers to choose from. Kids eat free Wednesday night. With every paid adult meal, you get 1 free kids meal. Thursday is Maltese night. Check out the Maltese specials on our specials board. And Friday night we have happy hour between 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Be sure to book your table to avoid disappointment. Bookings can be made via our website, georgiesonvista.com.au. see you at Georgies on Vista. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. We are now in the second half, officially known as the press box. And Josip, we've had some great guests this year in the press box. It's an opportunity now to just have a bit of a laid back, relaxed, and more of an in-depth conversation. We're not rushing so much as we are in extra time, trying to get all the results through. And tonight we've got a lovely guest that we always like having on the show here on the Football Out West show. Big welcome to the General Manager at Caroline Springs, George Cross, LIZA DJURIC. LIZA, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Tonci and Josip, for having me on tonight. I feel like I haven't been on for a while, actually. I don't think I've been on this season.
It seems like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does seem like that, and Mark's nonetheless, he's very, very active in the comments, and we appreciate that. And he said, "We need to hear from." I think he said something like, "We do need to hear. It's important you hear from the other three very important people from the club." So, good on you, Mark. LIZA, how did you spend your Sunday?
The best administrator in the Victorian football, so let's not stop there.
Absolutely. How did you spend your Sunday, LIZA?
At the football. I mean, went to a few games. The son played, and then went and did a bit of shopping with my daughter. But,
fantastic! Yeah. It was a nice leisurely kind of.
What else do you do on a Sunday in the middle of football season?
Exactly. When you get a little bit of a time to get away from it, you try to do it, but there's not much time. How are things going with the club? 75th anniversary this year. It's a big year for the club. And what have been?
See, you have one of our scarves up at the back there.
Now, big shout out to Darren there in the canteen. Yep, he supplied that. Darren. So what a great scarf it is. It's a quality product. And thank you, Darren. And tell us what are some of the things that have been happening at the club off the field, and what are some of the things happening in the next few weeks, months?
Yeah, we've been super busy. Obviously, we've had a uninterrupted season, which is fantastic. I'm sure all the football administrators in Victoria are feeling the same. So we got used to sort of stop, start, and now we've just, it's just been rolling on, which has been great for football, great for parents, great for kids. Busy time for us, for administrators and all the committees and boards. But look, you know what? We've had a great year so far. We've got 36 squads, so it's probably one of our biggest years that we've had. Mm-hmm. And we always aim for like about 30 or 32, but unfortunately we can't knock back kids. So we try to accommodate. I know we do our best. We try to accommodate. Probably be a bit tough next year. We won't be able to increase that, but certainly we try to make sure that we give everyone an opportunity to come to George Cross. We're still getting people, making inquiries, wanting to join us mid-season, and obviously, at some point we've got to stop that intake. But it's healthy. It's healthy for football. It's healthy for football in the West, and it's healthy for our club. So it's definitely, good signs. This year's been a bit different. We've obviously got a new TD, so we've got John. We've also employed Darcy part-time, and Darcy looks after our Mini Roos program. So the three of us are often together in the office, planning and, discussing week in, week out, forward planning for next season. And that we make a great team. So that's been working really well this year. Our output's been really high, I think. Collaboratively, we've been able to execute a lot of footballing initiatives for the club and for the community, which has been great. So we've got our Little Legends program that we've been running for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's really been growing each year. So that's every Saturday, and then we've started our weekend academy. So that's a term by term activity, and that's been.
How's that going along? How are the numbers there? Yeah, how are the numbers there?
It's been okay. They're quite moderate. They've been. It hasn't been like it's not. We haven't seen a massive intake, but it's a good way for people to get into the club. So anyone that's making inquiries, we're sort of directing them into getting their foot in the door that way for next season, because we we can't increase our squad sizes now, but it's a good way for people to get their foot in their door because they've missed out this season. And John and Darcy are working on, ways to improve, and each term's been great. So we've just putting out our ad now for next term, for term 3. We've had some great feedback from people that have been on the program. So yeah, and Darcy's running a school holiday program these school holidays. So that's the first time we've been able to do that as well.
Lisa, that setup sounds like almost like you're required to do, how school zoning, and you try and get your foot in the door in a zone just to make sure you get the kid at the school. But the way you've got your setup there at the minute, it sounds like you're attracting so much interest that with your setup, you have to do that start from the very entry point level, because everywhere else you just at capacity,
You do. And I tell you what, it's our Little Legends program. So you almost guaranteed a position in under 7s if you start in our Little Legends on the weekend. So, we've been able to, that's how we're growing our female team. So we've already got next year's under 7 girls sitting in our Little Legends program that will be our under 7 girls. Yep. Then our under 7s are going to become our under 8s. We've got 2 under 8s and 9s. They'll become our 9s and 10s. So it's really worked well for us. And we've seen a huge amount of interest for young girls. So, those 4, 5, 6-year-old girls. So, we're really proud of that. It's really good. And
what do you put that down to?
Sorry?
What do you put that interest down to, that 4 to 6? Is it just post-COVID, the kids want to do something, parents want their kids to get off their backsides and whatnot? Or is it something maybe different to that?
Oh, look, I think, I've got a 5-year-old daughter. Oh, sorry, 6-year-old. She's just turned 6. So, and I put it down to, I think it's school, to be honest. I think I found that at school there's quite an interest. Like, at her school, there's soccer goals. The kids play soccer. She comes home and talks about it. Some of her girlfriends have, wanted to play soccer, and their dads are asking me about it now. And so I think schools are playing a big part in that, and maybe having older brothers and siblings that play. But, I think there's still a bit of a mix. Like, my daughter plays soccer, but she also does dancing, so I'm not quite sure which way she'll turn, but she may do both. But at the end of the day, it's an unbelievable program for us, and something we're really proud of. And I'll start from the top. So both our men's and our women's teams are doing an absolute amazing job this year, and that's helped, I think, in the growth of football at our club. So both on the female, definitely, without a doubt, because they've earned the attention that they're getting. The community's getting behind them. They get an amazing crowd at our home games. People, from within our club love to come and watch them play. Our female teams all the way from under 7s will come and watch them play. And, same with our senior men's. Obviously, that goes without saying. Everyone knows where we're at and what our ambition is there. So they're doing well as well. So it's really great. But, our NPL teams, were successful through that preliminary rounds, and, got into the first and second leagues, doing well. The 18s are struggling a little bit, but they're playing some good football, and I think we'll start to see that turn a little bit in the next few rounds coming through. I know John's putting a lot of work into that group, but 16s amazing, 15s and 14s as well. So and I don't, I have to give credit to all our community squads. So I couldn't be more proud of the club. Our community teams, both men and female, 95% of them are sitting in the top 4 in their leagues. The others, some are sitting middle table, couple struggling, but across the board, we're doing really well. And our mini roos, it's not about winning and losing. So Darcy's putting in a lot of work with John around, making that a development program. And there's been a lot of change in that space around how we want our coaches to behave and how we want our coaches to deliver
Mhm.
their training. So sometimes that doesn't go down well with people, and some people don't like change, and you know, but they're working hard towards that, and you know, the kids and the families will see positive outcomes. They've just got to stick with it and let the guys do their thing, and I think next year they'll see that the results that they were looking for, you know, as a club. So I think across the board we're doing all the teams are doing a fantastic job.
Brilliant. That's great to see. Now, I've had this chat with Mark. I was actually down at the club about a month or so ago and having a chat. And what I find, look, you walk there on a Sunday when there's a lot of juniors, and it is just a united nations. And it's what we really love to see in a community club. There's just so many different nationalities, people from all walks of life. But what I'm really proud of George Cross is how it really promotes its Maltese roots as well. And the Maltese school that's been set up there, we see the Maltese brass band, the orchestra, the band there that's on there on match days. That is, and in its 75th year, we're paying homage to the club and the club's forefathers. How's that all going along? Like, I as a former Croatia school teacher, I'm really interested in the Maltese school and how that's developing, and the numbers and the life that it brings the club. How's that coming along?
Look, I think sometimes us Maltese, we don't embrace our culture very well. So I think this is really, and Mark's been a real huge driver of this. He's very much a believer that we need to do better when it comes to promoting who we are and where we've come from and our traditions. We're not culturally strong. Like, we don't have a lot of traditions like a lot of the other clubs do, like the Macedonians and the Croatians. And so it can be hard. So we've got to embrace what we've got. And those things are like the Maltese school. We've got the Maltese Community Council that we are part of and we support. So we're trying to do a lot of work with them. There's some events that we're working on, like Father's Day and maybe a Maltese festival day. But certainly the band. So this year we deliberately scheduled a half-hour break in between Resis and seniors, and there's two prominent Maltese bands in Victoria, so we rostered them on equally through the season. So every game we've got one of the Maltese bands playing before a game, and the people love it. Like the supporters and the culture, and not even that, like even people that aren't Maltese love it. It's, a very unique sound. It's a brass band. I've had even some of the officials say to me, this is why I have to wait half an hour between my two games. This is fantastic. Like, it's a real good vibe. And the Maltese school is something we've done to give back to the community. So we give them a space where they can bring kids, and that grew from, initially it was like 10 and it's now 20 kids. So luckily the bistro is not open in the morning, so they use that space in the mornings, and it's great because I come in there in the mornings on a Saturday, and it's good to see, up on the screen these Maltese words and these little kids sort of sitting there with their school bags and repeating after the teacher in Maltese. It's fantastic. And so that's a credit to Mark. He really wanted us to embrace our culture, and we're doing that. And I think we've got a lot of second, third generation Maltese in our club, and I think they appreciate it as well.
Absolutely.
I think look, Tonci and I can attest to it. We've been involved in our community, working away behind the scenes for many, many years now. And one of the proud things I always talk about in my time as an administrator is never losing that grip of faith around your community and around what it all means to you, and not changing your identity because of change. Your identity stays because that's what formed your institution. And to hang on to it and to display that to people so passionately and proudly, that's where you get your reward, and credit to you all for investing your time in that and bringing it to the fore so that others can share in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, look, Lisa, we're going to take a little bit of a break, a little bit
Sure.
of a commercial break. If you want to book a function at the George Cross Vista, at the City Vista Reserve there, Georgie's on Vista, this is what you got to do. Don't go away, folks. We're talking with the general manager of the Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club, LIZA DJURIC.
Looking for a space for your next function? At George's on Vista, our function room caters for all types of functions. Milestone birthdays, special religious occasions, work functions, hens or bachelor nights, baby showers, or whatever reason you decide is a good idea to get together with family and friends. Contact our friendly staff who will help you put together a menu that will suit your special occasion. Inquiries can be made via our website, georgesonvista.com.au. George's on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.
Back to the Football Out West show. It is the press box. And Lisa, there we go. We talked about the functions there. There was a little ad there for the functions. A big shout out to Tony Tenaglia, who arranges everything and puts everything together. She does a mountain of work in that space. How are the functions? How is the facility being used for functions? Not just club functions, but private functions, outside community use and things like that. Is that sort of starting to now become another headache in your very busy schedule with post-COVID?
Not too bad. It's not so much a headache for me because we've got bistro manager and supervisor that run that, which is great. But we are, as a board, always trying to collaborate with them and work out, the ways we can increase functions and stuff. But look, we've been pretty busy in that space. So we've got bingo on Tuesdays, poker on Fridays, Maltese night on Thursdays, kids eat free on Wednesdays. So, and then on weekends, we're quite busy. So whether we're playing or Western United MPL are playing, our women. So we seem to have a lot of activity, regardless of whether we have functions or not, sort of in the space. So for all the functions that we get, and we get probably one or two a week anyway, are just sort of added to that. We get a lot of communions, private birthdays, that kind of stuff. So, it's always good. And, shout out to that team. We've got a great bunch of staff that most of them not familiar with football, but have clued on really fast, and very supportive of all our members and all our teams. So
just two things on that, Lisa. The footage on that commercial, which I always find whenever I see the chef doing that drizzle on the fish, it looks like fish fillets. I look at that and I start to drool. I can see a chef. I can see a chef that loves his food and is being passionate.
Absolutely, that's Stefano. That's our Italian
Stefano,
chef.
well done. You made me hungry at 8:13 at night. Good on you.
Yeah. He's been there from the beginning as well.
The other part is comment made by your president, Mark, about the decision to put full-time staff on to do these roles, such as yours, and now you're talking about the bistro manager and the staff there. It's a bold decision to make from a community football perspective, because your members can often be fickle, dare I say, to say, oh, you're going to pay someone. Absolutely. You didn't pay me when I was 20 years old, and now I'm 70. You're not going to, where's my money? But time evolves. And you said a little bit earlier, people don't like change. Unfortunately, change is a constant. So we either change or we stand still.
Absolutely. So, and look, it's a necessity for us. If it wasn't me, it'd be someone else employed in the role. And it's a necessity. We are just too big. We've got multiple contracts that need to be managed, whether because of our facility, whether it's cleaning contracts with other football clubs, contracts with schools, agreements with schools. You have to have someone there full time. So, that's just one part. And then you've got all the admin. You've got 36 teams, and you've got the footballing staff, so all the programs that we have to run, and to run them effectively. There's no doubt an administrator can do these jobs, and work full time or part time or whatever. But to run everything effectively, I think it needs to be full time. And we get, there's all. I do a lot of event planning too. Like every week at home is a huge. It's not a matter of me just turning up and watching the game. I wish, we've we've got DJ equipment to hire, we've got bands to coordinate, we've got food to organise. There's a whole. It's an event every week, and on that, I feel like our clubs really try to create this sort of atmosphere and do some different things. And I've seen in the community some change, and I'd hope that I'd like to think that we are leaders in that. So I went to Essendon and they were playing music and DJ music when goals were scored, and we didn't see that kind of stuff before. And that's something we sort of drove a couple of years back, and it's actually great. It's great to go to a game and not just listen to a whistle or people yelling and screaming. It creates a great vibe for football. And even these community nights, like we played, our senior men played, I think it was Keilor, and they put on a Maltese night on that night. Like it's great. It's great that they sort of that cultural aspect as well.
I mean, there's so much out there now that is competing for the entertainment dollar or time, and people have so many options these days that at the end of the day, you do have to be innovative and you have to be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
But getting back to that whole putting people on full time or putting people on the payroll, I had this conversation recently with someone. I said, look, the football community or the football industry in Australia will really have evolved when we can have as many people working, and making a living, and not necessarily just talking about players and coaches, but administrators, people in the media, people in the marketing, as you said, event management, event execution, and and the bigger and bigger we can make this industry. And that's why the AFL is an industry. That's why the AFL has so much money at their disposal, because they actually have got so many people making a living out of the football industry.
I don't know how some people do it. There's been many a day I've spent on the phone most of the day. And if you're working full time in another industry, you just wouldn't be effective. You just couldn't be.
Hey, Tonci, we had that conversation probably about round 2, round 3 of our Oz Cro with Damien Bresic about the whole.
Up in Gold Coast,
people need to be involved in paid employment in the game so that it's more sustainable, more attractive. And if people are working in it, they'll make good ideas, good initiatives, and roll it out through clubs, and it will just perpetuate.
Yeah, Lisa, where do you see, where do you see the club being in, say, 5 years' time? Obviously we'd like to say in the National Second Division and whatnot, but like a kind of a mid to long-term project, where would you see the club, just doing what it's doing now but better, or would you like to see things happening, maybe that innovation that we haven't seen as yet?
Yeah, I think there'd be more people employed, because I feel like we already create more work for ourselves. So like I could do with, another person doing this or whatever, because I think the more time we are being innovative, the more resources you need to support that. So that's part of growth. So I see that from a football perspective. Yes, second division obviously would be our ambition, and that's huge, because then that would obviously require the growth from an administrative support and a footballing support base. Like John would need people helping him, and Darcy, and it couldn't be run just by 5 board members. It would have to grow from that perspective. And we are busy hosting matches. We've got a game on Tuesday, so we're hosting Brimbank and Avondale in the Australia Cup Tuesday night at our ground. So, there's all that stuff that takes time and work for us to do.
Sounds like a very busy place, Tonci.
Yeah, good. And speaking of busy, upcoming, let's have a quick look at that holiday camp, the school holiday camp again. And I love the way you promote it. How often do you get halfway through the school holiday and you hear your kids say, "Oh, I'm bored," enroll them in our school holiday soccer camp? And that's on your Facebook page. Absolutely brilliant marketing. Was that your motto, catch cry there, Lisa, or someone else's wording? That was well constructed.
Not me. I think that was Darcy, actually. Yeah, that's his program.
As a parent, you often hear that. The kids always saying they're bored. They're bored. They're bored. Well, here's a good excuse for them not to get bored. Join the school holiday soccer camp there at Caroline Springs George Cross. It's open to boys and girls from under 7 to under 12. 2-day camp will include high-quality training sessions and games on each day. When on the 6th and the 7th of July. The cost there, $225 for club members or $250 for non-club members. Activities tailored to age group. We look forward to seeing you there. Positions are limited, so do get in early, folks. And that is on your website, I believe, and that is georgecrossfc.com.au/soccer-camp. That's georgecrossfc.com.au/soccer-camp. And you can jump on there straight away, and there's a jot form there that you can sign up and do that. Liza, any last words for either the members or the viewers of the show? And yeah, tell us what is happening. What more can we look forward to?
Yeah, without saying too much, so we are starting to have some conversation with Western United about their women's league. So that's something, you know, exciting potentially that could happen. Obviously, we want to support women's football in the West, and what a perfect way for us to do that would be to host a couple of games or have them there training.
What a nice
watch that space.
Nice place to do it at.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mark and I will probably have more to share on that moving forward. But yeah, so we have started some discussions with them about that. But yeah, that's it. And have a look out. We might be hosting some of these next rounds coming up with the Nike Cup. We've thrown our hat in the ring. So yeah, we might be one of the venues that can host a couple of the last rounds that are coming up. So it's always good to have night games at City Vista. So we definitely like to take them when we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the facilities there, the fantastic floodlights, the perfect surface, and the undercover seating, what better place, you know, especially as we get into the colder months. Josip, have you got any last questions for our guests tonight?
No, I've really enjoyed listening to Liza describe the operations and the all the ins and outs of the club, and particularly hearing around how the coordination between the football department and just the general operation of the club is linked together. If anyone out there is running a club, they should really lean in and listen to what's going on here, because as Liza alluded to, you can't be doing this going forward on the smell of an oily rag and try and do it part-time. There's a lot to do, and if we take our our temporary custodianship of the game as we administer it, with people like Liza on board, a fine example for others to follow.
The key is that they all work together. I think all departments need to work together. That's really important, because the administrator always has the timelines, and the football people have all the dreams, and you've got to be in sync. So we all work well together as a team. So.
Good on you, Liza. We'll look forward to our next time we have the George Cross themed show, either having yourself back on, hopefully, because it's been a fantastic interview and a great insight, and hearing all the latest things that will be happening. I'm sure there's going to be a lot happening in the next couple of months. As we get closer to the end of the season, then it all starts all over again. The planning, the execution for the following season.
Absolutely.
And it's exciting. One thing that I know, I've been speaking to a lot of football administrators, and they're so, they're snowed under at the moment. It's so busy. But everyone says it with a smile. I wouldn't have it any other way. And this year, being their first year of COVID, post-COVID normality, I tell you what, we're all reveling in it.
No, it's been great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Good on you, Liza. Have a good night.
Make sure everyone can get down to City Vista on Tuesday night. Watch Brimbank and Avondale fight it out.
Should be a good one. Good on you, Liza. Thanks very much for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. A great insight into a great club. What a fantastic look! Mark Sultana constantly goes on about what a great administrator LIZA DJURIC is, and Liza is absolutely fantastic. It's just great having her on the show, and I'm sure that all the George Cross fans out there, and indeed not just the George Cross fans, but all of the fans, viewers tuning into the show tonight, will get a really good insight into what makes a great club tick. And the last half an hour of speaking with Liza certainly exemplified that. Josip, we've got a week off from the Oz Cro Soccer Show, so I will see you the following week.
Yeah, mate.
And thanks once again for filling in Craig's shoes and Steve Curtin's shoes as well. It was great having you on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, and look forward to catching your next round on Sunday next week.
That's right, folks. Before that, though, we will be back tomorrow with the Geelong Region Soccer Show. A big special clubbing focus is the Corio Soccer Club, who are in the same division as the Caroline Springs George Cross State 1. They had a big win on the weekend, and we'll be talking to a club representative there. Lots of good things happening on and off the park there at Corio Soccer Club. That's in the Geelong Region Soccer Show tomorrow night. Until, apart from that, we will have your company next Sunday night, 7 p.m, when we'll have Craig Filer back and Lockie Flanagan joining us again in that guest co-host chair. So we look forward to that. Folks, good night. Josip, good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.